Welcome back to CryptosRus. I am George. We're all George. There. First of all, Scott Bessent said that not all tariff deals will be done in 90 days. There's a 90-day pause, right? Obviously. But he's saying that, we have 15 major trade partners, and some of them will take longer to negotiate with than 90 days. Obviously, China being one of them. But the others, there's a lot, right? Japan and UK, those two in particular, he may not want to admit it outright, but they are extra important. And I showed this yesterday. Why? Because Japan holds, it's the number one country. They hold the largest amount of U.S. treasuries. And UK is number 3, while China is being a number 2. Those 3 by far are the largest U.S. treasury holders. And we don't want them to continue to sell off more. That's not what we want. So those 3 are going to be really tricky. Others, they still hold a lot, but not as much as these 3. But that's why he's saying, don't think that everything will be resolved within 90 days. They may not. Right? So that's why Japan, they may be harder to negotiate with because they have, so to speak, the trump card, because they hold over $1 trillion in U.S. Treasury bonds. Okay? And the U.S. does not want them to dump $1 trillion of U.S. Treasury bonds. That would be bad. So they do have some cards to play. And so does the UK. And so does China. So there's that. But you know what? This is interesting. This just came out a couple hours ago. Governor Newsom is asking the courts to block Trump's illegal tariffs. It may even sue. Okay? He's been on social media like all last week saying that California is going to bargain with countries by itself, acting as its own sovereign state, because California is the 5th largest economy in the world. It makes up 14% of the GDP of the United States. They are a powerhouse, okay, in itself. So, and he does not like what Trump is doing. He does not like all the tariffs. He does not like everything that's going on. So he wants to just kind of like break California off and do its own thing. I don't know. Obviously that's not going to happen. But you know how like Trump says like a lot of stuff should go to the states and states should decide on certain things, right? So it makes you wonder, like, what things should the states decide on? And what things should the states not decide on? Can the states opt out of tariffs? Probably not, right? That would defeat the whole purpose. You have to have a unity on the tariff stuff. You can't have like California saying, no. You could import into California from China and not get 245% tariff duties, right? Like that wouldn't make any sense at all. But this is happening. He's probably going to get nowhere with this, but you know what? We will see. Maybe the courts agree with them. All right. Yeah, so speaking of the 245%, in case you're wondering where I got that number from, so the retaliation tariffs continue. Trump says that, you know what, because of the lack of respect from President Xi, and how they're not coming to the table. Okay. He is raising the tariffs from 145% to 245%. At this point, it's a moot point. Okay. Anything above 100% already just makes imports like dead. No one's going to be importing anything over 100%. So now making it 245%, it's just making a shocking number. No one's going to be importing anything, okay, at 145%, 245%. You could raise this to 445% or 2,450%. It's not going to make a difference. It's just a bigger number at this point, right? So basically, Trump is not backing down and saying, hey, we're just going to keep doing this until you guys come to the table and negotiate, right? But right now, China does not seem like they want to negotiate. They're actually making a lot of moves. China told their airlines to stop buying planes from Boeing. That's number one. I saw that, I don't know if you guys picked up, a lot of the social media is starting to talk about how all of the luxury bag makers are buying their bags from China and then relabeling them as their own. And that's starting to fly, and a lot of luxury bag makers are getting a lot of heat for that. I always thought that was common knowledge, but somehow that wasn't. But that's also coming out. There's a lot of stuff that's happening. And then I just saw this. This just came out. Hong Kong is suspending postal service to the U.S. So starting today, you can't ship anything from Hong Kong to the United States. So things are really starting to escalate here. Besides just tariffs, I mean, you're having complete suspension of services altogether. You're not just talking about taxing imports. You're talking about just suspension of things. So this is really escalating. And it's going nowhere good at this point, right? So who's going to bend the knee first? A lot of people think it's going to be China that's going to bend the knee first because there's this notion that China's economy is not doing good. The yuan is crashing, and they need the U.S., they need the consumer buying power of the U.S. to buy all their goods. But you know what? They're starting to talk. President Xi is talking with all the other Asian nations. Seems like they want to, get closer together. It seems like what's happening right now is driving a lot of nations towards China instead, driving people away from America and to China. And if they somehow find a way to offset their selling to other countries, that would be a bad thing. So that's why people like Jamie Dimon says that, yeah, we want the U.S. and China to be talking as soon as possible. Trade wars could challenge U.S. credibility. It could drive people away. We want this to end sooner than later. We want both sides to start talking. Yeah, hopefully they do. Hopefully this doesn't, soon you can't have flights between the two countries. You can't go to China and Chinese can't come to U.S. It's starting to head that way. It's starting to be like everything's going to start canceling, and that's not good. We'll see.